Hello, and welcome to KimmelsIrishPub.com. It's time for another movie review, and I'm pretty excited about tonight's movie. It's The Mummy, starring Tom Cruise. Now, I know it got terrible reviews. A lot of critics were very harsh on it. I have not seen it, so I have no idea what it's, what's in store for us tonight. But it's The Mummy, originally done by Brandon Fraser, but now it's Tom Cruise's turn. Again, it was chewed up at the box office, but if you don't know who Tom Cruise is, you've been living underneath a rock for a long time. You know, Top Gun, All the Right Moves, The Outsiders. He's been in a lot of great movies. Oh, and jump over here. I got my daughter came down to say goodnight to me. Everybody, this is Quinn Kimmel. Her nickname is Bo Kimmel. Say hi.
Hi.
All right. She probably won't be watching the movie, but we're just talking about, we're going to watch The Mummy tonight, starring Tom Cruise. And on IMDb, I believe it got a 5.6 rating. Which is not great. Yes, 5.6. Not a great rating. Again, the critics weren't very happy with it. It didn't do very well in the theaters. But I'm still excited for it because, you know, I'm not a critic. I think it's going to be very exciting. So I'm going to start watching it here, and I'll check back in a little bit. So watch it with me. Hello, welcome back to KimmelsIrishPub.com. We're reviewing The Mummy. I'm at the 17-minute and 3-second mark already, and so far so good. Very entertaining. Jake Johnson is in it. I failed to mention that in the beginning because we had a special guest show up, and it threw me off my game a little bit. There she is. Russell Crowe's also in it, but I mentioned Jake Johnson because there's some comedy involved. Him and Tom Cruise are, you know, in some time of military organization, and they are looking for antiquities. But they have some banter back and forth, which makes it very entertaining. I didn't expect that. I thought it was just going to be all adventure and action. But there's some comedy so far. Again, we're only 17 minutes into the movie, but I like it. As I mentioned, a little bit of comedy. There is a lot of action, at least in the first couple of minutes. They also tell the backstory of how the mummy came to be the mummy. She was a princess of Egypt and was going to be the sole heir to take over the throne, and then they ended up having a son who obviously would then take over the throne. So she made a deal with some evil spirits, and she was caught before she was able to pull off what she wanted to pull off so that she would be the sole heir, and they mummified her. And so that's how she becomes a mummy. Now, they haven't found the mummy yet. They are just, just the beginning, first couple of minutes here. But again, very entertaining, a lot of comedy. I like the backstory so far. Only 17 minutes, but I'm going to go with an 8 so far. So a lot higher than what IMDb has it at. So it's possible that this could, tail off here as it goes throughout the movie. But I'll check in a little bit and continue to watch it with me. Hi. All right, so I thought I'd do a check-in right here. 36 minutes and 54 seconds. As you can see, I lost my beautiful co-host. It was time for her to go to bed. So it'll just be me moving forward. No Bo Kimmel for the rest of this movie review. But 36 minutes into it, just saw what I thought was a pretty exciting part of the movie until I realized I thought I saw it before. It's the part where they're in the plane, bringing the mummy back from Mesopotamia. They're flying it on an army cargo ship, flying back, and the plane starts to go down. Ultimately, then crashes with Tom Cruise on it, which his name in the movie is Nick, and he goes down with the plane, only to see him wake up in a body bag. So he survived the plane crash and woke up in a body bag, and I was like, that seems familiar. I had a quick look, so I didn't do any spoilers for you. That's the entire first trailer. So if you watch the first trailer of The Mummy, this is the part that I just saw. So it was pretty exciting until I realized, wait a minute, I think I know what's going to happen here. So they're in the plane bringing the mummy back. It goes down. So that's where we are right now. The fact that he survived the plane crash is kind of odd. You know, the doctor that he's with, I think she's a doctor or whatever, she got out with a parachute, so that makes sense, but he survived. So prior to that, the mummy has been in Tom Cruise's mind, so he's having visions of interacting with her that seem very real to him, and that since they found the mummy, so he's somehow connected, and I'm assuming that's how he survived the plane crash, but that has not been answered yet. There's more to come on that, but that's where we are right now. You know, it's still very good. A lot more action since the last time I checked in, but a little bit unbelievable on how he survived the plane crash. But I think I'm going to figure that out here in a little bit, and I will check back in. So stick around. Okay, check-in time. It is 57 minutes and 17 seconds in The Mummy. And a lot has happened here, as I mentioned in the previous check-in, that Tom Cruise has some sort of relationship with the mummy. He's been drawn to her, she's been in his head, and he's somehow connected. It's not fully explained yet how. Somehow he survived the plane crash and now is being drawn to find her, and but it hasn't been explained exactly why yet. Jake Johnson is still involved in the movie, which is great because he's adding the comedic portion in the movie, and it's funny. His character has changed a little bit from the opening scenes, and he's a little bit of a different character, but again, it makes it a little bit funny. I can see how some of the critics might rate this movie a little bit lower, so I do think that they are trying a little extra hard to be funny, and it might come off as cheesy or forced. I think it's good. It's not that cheesy for me, but for critics I can see it. Some of the lines that they say in here, and you know, they're really, the other thing that they're doing is they're not making it very technical, so they're eliminating a lot of the, you know, the archaeology theory behind it, and sometimes makes it hard to follow, and really have dumbed it down for the viewers, which I enjoy. But again, it's a little bit of cheesy jokes, and I can see how people might not like that. Myself, I'm enjoying it still. I still have it at an 8. About an hour into it. We have about an hour to go. But I'm enjoying it. The jokes aren't cheesy enough for me just yet. And we'll see where it goes from here. Alright, I'll check in a little bit. Alright, one more check-in before the final credit check-in. I'm at the 1 hour, 20 minute, and 6 second mark. But I thought I'd check in and share some of the things that stuck out to me so far from the last time I checked in. Russell Crowe has appeared again. He was in the beginning for a little bit, but now he has a bigger role in the movie. It's funny because Russell Crowe always reminds me of my Uncle Mike. Not that you've ever met him, but you know, maybe at some point I'll get him involved in some of the videos we do here so you can see what I mean. But he always reminded me of him, and it's funny, he also reminds me of the guy in Beverly Hills Cop as well. My uncle, that is, not Russell Crowe. Not Eddie Murphy, but Sergeant Taggart. So that's who my Uncle Mike is, so a cross between Russell Crowe and Sergeant Taggart. But again, they continue with the level of humor that they've had for the first couple of check-ins here. We're slightly cheesy, but I think it's good because they don't really try and take themselves too seriously. So I enjoy it. And again, it's not like all historical, and you know, where they really get into the technical details of, you know, mummification and all that kind of stuff. They make it easy to follow. So I enjoy that aspect of it as well. There is the mummy brings some zombies to life in a sense, as part of, I guess, her army or entourage. So they have this zombie, which I think appeals to a lot of people. You know, with The Walking Dead, Fear of the Walking Dead, you know, all those types of shows that are going on right now. So it does have that Walking Dead appeal to it, because there are some zombies attacking them throughout the movie. But again, you know, I can see why some critics might not enjoy it and gave it such a low rating. I'm sticking with it. I'm staying with an 8 so far. I enjoy the action. I like the humor. You know, I like the actors in it. And we got like 30 minutes left, so I think it's probably going to stay up there unless something really bad happens in these last 30 minutes. I'll go back to watching this and I'll check in at the final credits. Hopefully you've made it this far as well into the movie, and we'll see each other at the end. Alright, see ya. Okay, so there you have it. That's The Mummy. I am now watching the credits. I've watched the entire movie. I had a couple check-ins with you throughout to talk about the movie and what I thought about it. Some remaining thoughts or some final thoughts. One of the things that I found was interesting, as I mentioned, Jake Johnson was in the movie, and he's from New Girl. And Tom Cruise is in the movie, and Tom Cruise's character's name is Nick. And it's funny because Jake Johnson on New Girl, his name is Nick, so I thought that was funny. But he stayed throughout the movie and added some comic relief all the way through to the end. So I thought it was great. A little confusing, as I mentioned throughout the other updates. I wasn't sure Tom Cruise's involvement. They kind of explained it, that he was some sort of vessel. Again, not giving away a spoiler, but he's some sort of vessel for the mummy, I guess, to come back alive. And it's interesting because it gives you, it was funny, she approaches him and says, you know, you could become a living god and rule the world with her, and, you know, be able to control life and death. Kind of tempting, I would think. I don't know what the downside is. He would be, I guess, her king, or, you know, they would rule together, so he would also be with her. And in this movie, Tom Cruise was single, you know, no family or anything like that. What does he have to lose? So, you know, I don't know what the downside is of becoming a living god. You know, so he's got to deal with that question, whether he wants to do that or not. So yeah, he was some sort of vessel and could have helped rule the world with her, I guess. He was the chosen one, and that's why he survived the plane crash. And then Russell Crowe also had an interesting character. He showed back up in the movie, reminded me of my Uncle Mike, but I wasn't quite sure what he was. You know, he was involved in finding the mummy and containing the evil that was within the mummy. But there was a part where he kind of like became Jekyll and Hyde, almost like one of the zombies, but then was able to cure himself. So I'm not sure what all that was about. So when that comes on, pay a little bit more attention, and maybe you can figure it out, and you can let me know in the comments below. I don't feel like going back and watching it again. But there was just some of the things that were a little bit difficult for me to grasp. But ultimately, I still really liked the movie. And I even went back and I checked Rotten Tomatoes to see if maybe, hey, you know, maybe the critics gave it a 16% in Rotten Tomatoes, and then I think the users gave it like 32. So not very good ratings there. I thought maybe other users would have found it more entertaining like I did. I'm going to stick with my 8. I'm going to give it an 8 on IMDb. I am going to go ahead and I'm going to recommend it. I think people should watch it. And go into it, you know, knowing that it doesn't take itself too seriously. There is a lot of humor throughout, and you know, it's a little far-fetched, of course, zombies and everything like that. But it's you know, everything I thought it would be. I am not disappointed. I'm gonna give it an 8, and hopefully, you know, you go ahead and watch it and let me know what you think. If I'm way off on this one, that's fine. But I would encourage people to at least give it a try. An hour and 50 minutes, it's worth watching. So it was one of the first bigger name movies that I did a review on, and I liked it. So hopefully you did too, or at least you learned a little something from this and are able to make your own decision on whether you want to watch it or not. If you did like this video, you know, go ahead and hit like or subscribe to my channel, or check out KimmelsIrishPub.com for all my other videos. This whole site is dedicated to movie reviews, television reviews, beer, and fantasy football. So if you have any interest in those three, check out KimmelsIrishPub.com, and I'll see you next time for another movie, beer, or fantasy football review. See ya.